Pretty shy here.
How you doing, Randy?
I've got one.
Not as good as Doug, but I'm doing good.
I'm not gonna argue.
I don't have any idea.
Yeah. Made it through another day.
What's all about?
They're supposed to be on tonight from
Possibly.
General Last West.
I didn't even know we had them.
Yeah, they're out from General Last West. They don't have to work
Today, so I know today is.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate to get
You know, I wouldn't get too uptight yet. Yeah, I give it a day or two.
I worked 9 days on this one.
Leland's talking about that right away.
ESPN.
One's down.
I'm sure that's what it was.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
State law requires this body to announce at this time that a copy of the current Open Meetings Act is available at the back of the room where it is accessible to the public. Simpson.
Here.
Sisson.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
Gibbons. Here. Urbon.
Here.
Mankey.
Here.
Aldridge.
Here.
Thank you. This time I'd ask everybody to please stand for a moment of silence, followed by a pledge of allegiance. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we start, item 8 will be moved up to item 4. We'll switch that one around. Item 1 is consent agenda. Approve the agenda, approve the city's treasurer's report, pay the claims as submitted, and we have 3 different special designated liquor licenses for 3 different Christmas banquets.
So moved.
Aldrich, second by Mike Sisson.
Simpson.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Urbon.
Yes.
Mankey.
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 2, approve the minutes of the November 6, 2018 regular council meeting.
So moved.
Doug Simpson,
Second.
Larry Gibbons.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Urbon.
Abstain.
Martin.
Don't wait too long.
Mankey.
He's having a Doug moment. Patience.
Took me a while to learn to read. And Simpson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 3, it is now time for the public forum. If anybody has something to bring before the council that is not on the council agenda, now is the time. I will close the public forum. What we've been waiting for tonight. Consider chamber request for 4th Avenue grand reopening. Finally.
Thank you for having me.
We've been waiting for a long time for this. What's
Yes.
taking you so long?
I know, sorry. Okay, so on behalf of the Chamber and Concrete Solutions, we are pleased to inform you that we will be holding a ribbon cutting on Thursday, November 29th. And we are going to do 9:30 to 10:30. The ribbon cutting will be at 10 a.m. As of right now, we don't have confirmation that the highway will open specifically on that day. It might be the 30th, but we just needed to schedule the actual ceremony so that as soon as they get everything finished, they can just open it without problems. So the idea is that at 9:30, the radio station is going to come out. They're going to do 60 minutes of highway-themed music live, so we're going to call it a street dance. And then at 10 o'clock, we will string a ribbon across, and then all of the downtown local business owners are encouraged to bring their own scissors. And then Mr. Mayor will have the big, large scissors, and then we'll do a live on-air countdown, and then everybody will cut the ribbon. So there'll be coffee and rolls, and then, so you'll have to prepare something. So I'm asking permission if everybody's okay with that. Yes.
Maybe you mentioned it, Carly, where you having on West Avenue?
So it's going to be right in front of the radio station.
Okay.
So it's going to be right there in front of 4th Avenue Coffee, sorry about that, and the radio station. If a miracle happens and the highway is ready before our ceremony, we told the project manager to go ahead and just open the highway, and we will just have our ceremony on the sidewalk. So we will encourage everybody to utilize the public parking lots and then just walk. So if the highway is done, we told them to open it. If it's not, we will do it in the street, but we won't need anything blocked off, closed off. The radio station's pretty excited about it, so.
The whole community is pretty excited about it.
I agree. So that's okay with everybody. So it'll be 9:30 to 10:30, ribbon cutting at 10. And your best dance moves start at 9:30.
Sounds great. Any questions for Harley?
Wear your dancing shoes, right? Exactly. Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, Carly. Okay.
That's good
We
news.
need a motion.
What are we helping with the assistance? The city helping anything there?
You dancing? Paying for it.
Do I need your approval?
So we need a motion for it to.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Dermot, second. Urban?
Gibbon,
Yes.
Burbine,
Yes.
Hanky,
Yep.
Aldridge,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Sisson,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Perfect. See you guys next Thursday.
Item 4, accept Nebraska Department of Transportation Economic Opportunity Grant for the paving of Guston Street. We was hoping for $500,000. We got a little on the shorter side of it, $350,000. It's my understanding that the county board approved to step up and do their other half, 75.
We haven't approved it yet, there's an understanding that we might have to do that. I think Mike Henry, the county attorney, is working with Rob for an interlocal agreement on it, so that's probably what we need to get approved by the county board.
Right now, we just have to accept the grant. We'll end up stepping up to the other 75,000, split the half with the county, we're hoping. So, motion to approve the grant.
So moved.
Aldridge?
Second.
Who second? Mike Sisson.
Simpson,
Yes.
Sisson,
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
Burbine.
Yes.
Yankee,
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is approve Norma Mayo South Park Memorial Project. There is a lot of pictures, a lot of information in the packet. This is unusual for request. It looks very tastefully done. It's going to be a nice addition, it looks like.
Nancy was gonna try and make it, but she lives in Lincoln and she was not gonna be able to make it, so I'm speaking on her behalf. But it included in your packet is what they would like to do. They're working with Lance Blythe with Patriot Gardens to plant 8 trees in this general area. I believe each tree will have its own marker. I don't think the trees have been picked out yet. Each individual sibling needs to pick out the trees that they would like, and then that location they would get it planted. Lance would get them planted, and then they would like a bench installed with a steel pergola. The pergola is all steel, and it kind of faces towards Norma's house where she lived down there, west of the park. And they're working with Josh Jones, Joe Ben Construction, to install the bench and the pergola. The concrete that you see is in there. I don't believe she said they were gonna do that much concrete. It was probably just gonna be around the bench area. And there's gonna be probably more of a stained concrete to make sure there's no problem with any ADA or whatnot that we might have down there. I did show this plan to the tree board yesterday and told them that they're gonna take care of that Lance is gonna take care of the trees. But this is 100% paid for by Norma's Trust, so.
That's in memory of Red and Norma Mayo, correct?
Correct.
Any questions from the council? Looks like it'll be a nice addition to the South Park. We don't have very many memorial benches down.
Not in the South Park, no, we do not.
Well, that'd be cool to get something that good location there, it looks like.
Looks nice.
Any questions? If not, motion to approve the plans.
So moved.
Second that.
And McDermott seconds.
Herbold.
Yes.
Yankee.
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
Dermott.
Yes.
Gillen.
Yes.
Thank you, I will call her and let her know.
Thank you. That should be awesome. Item 6, health insurance proposal from Michael Meyer. We're on track here. We 10 minutes into our council meeting. So.
I gotta tell you, I've sat through some grinders. I am extremely impressed.
We don't want it to change here.
You guys have it going on. I printed out a couple of things and put them on with each of your packets. And then I have a 2-minute commercial that's much more polished than I am, but I'm gonna tell you what it's gonna say first, just so it's not the first time you're hearing it. My apologies. I have communicated with Dean over the years about health insurance. Today I am talking about an employee benefit, not health insurance specifically, okay? Transamerica has a life insurance policy that is available as an employer-sponsored policy only. It's a group policy, but it's individual and portable. And I put it up against mine, quoted myself against a straight-up American National policy, and it fell in under that. This policy has one premium for 3 benefit buckets. That is a face amount up to $150,000, guaranteed issue. And it's asked 0 health questions, guaranteed issue, and it's competitively priced. The second benefit of this is if something was to happen and somebody need a long-term care policy or a disability policy, loss of 2 ADLs, activities of daily living, and it'll pay out 4% of that face amount, so $150,000, that'd be $6,000 a month for 50 months. And if that's used up, the third benefit, it converts to a $25,000 or 25% of the face amount paid up whole life policy. So it's a really diverse, good policy, and the only requirement is the employer sponsor it, and we are able to present to everybody. That's it. As long as 2 people take it, it's a guaranteed issue. So, a quick 2-minute commercial. God willing, it'll work.
What if you could offer your employees an elite benefit?
They broke it by sitting down. Quick.
Well, thanks for your presentation. Any questions?
I guess that's it. If I will send that commercial to Dean so he can forward it all to you if you like, okay? And yeah, it's Transamerica. It's a top Fortune 500 company, so it's not yesterday's or Bob's insurance company. For when you're talking life insurance, that's huge important because you want them to be around after you've been paying in for a decade. And yeah, any questions for me?
Mr. Meyer, my understanding that the city have to kind of sponsor it, but it'd be to the individual employee.
To the individual employee requires 0 employer contribution, and it requires only 2 employees come on. Well, actually, that's not true. It can be up to 5, depending on the size of the group. But this product has been available in years past, and Trans-America has required as many as 100 employees of a group come on to have the guaranteed issue be triggered. And through my association, for the first time, I am able to offer that guaranteed issue down to as little as 2. So it's, I mean, just if only the fire department was able to pick up on that, that could be a huge thing. It's really difficult to get disability and long-term care for people like that.
We have a couple of city employees here. Darren, do you have any questions on that, Darren Muse?
I'd like to know what the premiums are, but without being able to reference what I'm paying right now, I've got a term insurance policy offered, but that term's about to run out.
That's totally fair. And I tell you, should the council approve Dean giving me the information to run a quote on everybody, that would be fine, right? I could do that.
And then how long is it, this is a universal, so there's, what you pay today is gonna be what you pay your entire term of employment.
Correct.
And go up.
And it's portable. So the day you retire, you could continue to pay what you were paying into retirement up to the age of 100.
Is there flexibility on the amount of pay? Instead of the 150,000, can you do 100 or?
They'll take your money if you're healthy.
That's typical.
They're happy to take your money. They'll do a guaranteed issue up to 150,000. And like I said, I ran my own premium just so I could be confident with it, and it was less than an American National and I believe a Protective Life, just random 2. It was competitive or better than both of those. So,
Do you have an office in town?
I live in Kearney.
Okay, close enough.
Yeah, I partnered up with John Hongst, who is a Holdridge guy. But
So we'll be getting some more information from you?
I will get Dean anything that he requests, and I'll act quickly. So, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yes.
How small a group can you offer this to?
I believe I can go down to 2. So,
Okay.
yeah, Randy Wells out there flying a plane kind of thing, you betcha. So, yeah, it's a super flexible, I've been doing insurance for close to 2 decades. I've never seen anything like it. It's a heck of a door opener. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 7, health insurance update from Mr. Jason Powers.
2 insurance discussions in the same night.
That's scary.
That'll make our evening.
Aren't you the lucky ones?
You know, we could Skype next time, Jason. Because we have cameras.
I like coming up and seeing you.
Hey, that's a heck of a drive.
There's I've got a favorite spot in Lincoln that I stopped at on the way up.
Thank you.
Turn your mood still.
Right.
This thing. Way back.
I'm gonna make Dane Sheriff Bob.
Just give it to Dean.
All right, fun stuff. So, I think every month for the last few months, you've been getting a similar chart that kind of looks like this. Hopefully, the last one I sent with my notes and some assumptions and some of those notes made sense. I wanted to come in tonight and just kind of talk through it, make sure you understood what those reports mean, and address any questions or concerns you might have. But overall, what we projected was that we would spend, if you're looking at this chart, the 2018 expected is where we thought we would be total plan spend for the year. And then on the far right, every month I update what our annualized projected would be based on what we're actually spending. For the first time, that far right column through October, for the first time, that column is a little bigger than what we expected when we started this back in January of 2018. So we're still running well below what Blue Cross Blue Shield would have had us pay in guaranteed fixed cost premiums for the 2018 plan year. And I'm really happy to say that we have built a surplus of $83,865 is what we've got cash setting aside to help subsidize future plan expenses. I'm projecting that based on some trends in our plan spend and how things taper off at the end of the year, projecting that we'll have around $100,000 of surplus at the end of the year. Remember, we talked about, another reminder, we talked about the run off, or the tail on the end of that risk is 6 months. So we have through June 30 before I really want to count on that money. So we've got claims that will be incurred all the way up to December 31st, and then we'll have that run out that will, no new claims will go against that surplus, just the existing claims that we've had through 12/31. So we'll have better reporting as we get into January, February, March. Really after March, I don't expect a lot of things to come in April, May, and June that would have been incurred this year. So from that perspective, I think really on a good path going forward, but we're only 10 months into a self-funded plan. It's definitely performed better than most first-year plans. But I think we can continue to do better, and there's some tweaks that I'm recommending that we move toward this plan year. So, second page is another page that should be quite familiar. This is the actual aggregate analysis report that breaks down month by month how much we're seeing in medical claims, pharmacy claims, the total amounts. For those in the gallery, there's no names associated on these reports, so these are all de-identified. This is just general aggregate information. So the big number I look at on this report is the far right number, our year-to-date loss ratio. And you can see we were running right around that 70-75% loss ratio margin up until October. And October we just had a heavy month of claims that pushed our overall annual loss ratio to 84%. So that's the number I use for page 1 when I annualize what I think, if we continue to run at that loss ratio, that's what our total expected output will be. So if we get November claims in and it drops back down to 78, then that number on that far right column will drop again. So, make sense? Easy math there. All right, next page is our large claims analysis. Again, no names on this report. This identified that we have 11 people in the plan that have, and that's total belly buttons, right? That counts all family members, not just employees, but 11 people that we insure that have had claims in excess of 50% of our original retention level of 40,000. So the math there is we have 11 people that have had claims so far in excess of 20,000. And the reason I like to look at this report and analyze this report is to get a gauge for, remember, we're paying premiums for the excess of that 40,000. So the coverage that protects us against any claims above that 40,000, we're paying premiums for. That is one of those levers that we can pull and adjust that premium downward by adjusting that retention level up. Okay. So on this report, I see 2 people that have, or 3 people that have exceeded the 40,000. Right, for a total of the amount, you got 43,790, you got a 55,230, and a 75,623. I think the total excess is about, if we go back to page 2, the total excess is 54,644. So I use that number as sort of a gauge for me to see that's the, if we count all the premiums we've paid, 54,000 is all we really have for a loss against that reinsurance premium, which is really, when I go do that percentage, we're operating really well. Okay? So we continue to watch that and monitor that throughout the year. The next chart is, I always feel compelled to just sort of remind everyone where we've come from in this process over the last 10 years. If you get tired of seeing these numbers, over 10 years, let me know. But I use this case study because Holdridge is an interesting case study where we did some really special things back in 2008 and 2009 to really affect how our plan spend and our bell curve was affected over time. So the cumulative savings over 10 years is listed there at 1.8 million, and that's if we assumed that Blue Cross would just continue to go up at only 10%, not 44, 10% each year, which is about trend. So that 10 years was when we moved to using the health savings account, adding that plan design, and funding the HSA accounts. And so I always think it's important to go back and see where we've come from. And then the next one is adding the new strategy of putting in the self-funded plan. And then I did some cumulative savings updates on what that meant for Holdridge in the 2018 plan year. Remember, Blue Cross was going to put us at 1.39. We ended up at 1.14 roughly. And then I even show on the 2019, which is on the next page, what our proposal is for 2019, what that uptick would look like, and we're starting to see it more of a flattening over that 3-year time frame. And you see that back in 2011 to 2014, it really flattened out a little bit. We got the spike from 16 to 17, which caused us to take a look at self-funding in 18. So drum roll. Last page. The 2 columns of numbers there, what you got is a blended number. I've got numbers for Dane to use for payroll purposes for employees that contribute to premiums, but a blended, what I do is we have to blend all that risk into one number so that we can come up with what our actual risk is. 2018 numbers, again, 1.14 at the bottom. 2019 shows a slight uptick to 1.2. What's really important, though, is if we look at that total monthly fixed cost line, which is the first set of numbers, first block of numbers, today, on an annual maximum, we're paying $492,000 in fixed costs. That's the premium, admin fees, the consulting fees you pay for my brilliant advice. And then 2019, we're showing a decrease in our fixed costs of $71,000. And the reason we're seeing that decrease is because I'm recommending that we move our retention level from 40 on the large claims to 50. That slight uptick of $10,000 per large claim yields us $70,000 in savings. Remember that large claim report we looked at with 11 people on it? How many people were over 40? 3. 2 were over 50. Okay, so we're only funding another 10. It would take 7 people to hit that extra 10 at $50,000 before we lose our savings on that fixed cost side. And then I'm taking that 70, and we're dropping it down into our claims bucket. Now, we don't spend it. What happens? We got surplus today. We just add to that surplus. And what we end up doing over time, now, there's going to be diminishing return on that effect. That strategy won't work every time we look at this. But for the first few years, we get to a number that makes sense and gives us balance in our risk, and builds our surplus up well enough that we can take on that extra risk category. So, but right now we're running really well. I think that's. We don't change anything with the plan design. I'm not recommending that we do anything from the benefit perspective, except for changing the stop-loss carrier we're using. We were using Gerber, yes, like the baby food Gerber Life. The new reinsurance company that we're talking to is Nationwide, the same one that Peyton Manning sings for. It's a really simple change on my end. It doesn't really require any applications other than a couple of documents that we send over from the current third-party administrator we're using.
But our coverage stays the same.
Yep. Same plan of benefits.
Apples to apples.
Yep. No, there's zero change in the administration. There's zero change in the ID cards. There's no change in the coverage.
Employees won't notice really anything.
It's Nationwide is providing the stop-loss coverage for the city, so they won't see anything on their side. It's the same network that we've been using. So. zero benefit changes, just a matter of moving the risk from Gerber over to Nationwide.
Looking good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, but if that's all I need there is just the approval so that Dane can help me get everything submitted in. But any questions on the reports that you see every month? Would you like to see anything else on those reports? Because I can get pretty detailed with some of that stuff. Again, no names, but I can get really detailed with how the benefits are working. So if you'd like to see something like that, maybe first quarter in 2019, I can come back and do a recap of what the full year in 2018 looked like, and we can do another pulse check on our surplus to see, you know, did we hit the 100,000 that I'm projecting, or did we come short? Did we get a little bit more? That's something you'd be interested in?
Ryan?
So you're saying it'll go from 40 to 50 on their contribution side, but the employees, there's no premium increase?
On the 40 to 50 on the risk retention side, yeah. There is I do have that side of it. It's about it ends up netting out about 4.5% to 5% total increase on premiums.
Okay.
But there's a couple different ways the city can go about that. We have the surplus. I don't like to spend the surplus after we save it. I think that if we were, if you look at trend is somewhere between 10 and 12, maybe 14% across the board in other markets. I'm not saying that we have to increase rates. I'm saying it's smart for us to increase the money that we're putting in the surplus. So whether or not the city passes that on to employees, or if it's just a matter of taking some of that increased risk for the city and then using the surplus to circumvent or mitigate what that risk is. That's a conversation that I can guide you on if you have questions on, but I don't have a feel for what, if anything, has been communicated to employees for rates, if you will. There is a change in rate of about 5%, 4.5% to 5%.
That 4.5% to 5% is actually isn't the cost for premiums, it'll go towards the.
It'll go the actual premium side is the reduction.
You say you have no lasers on any of our. Any questions? Appreciate the report.
Yeah, for sure. Again, if you want me, I can check back with Dane for first quarter recap and give you a little more.
Let's do that.
Okay. What I like about that is that we can dive into the actual categories of plan spend. Getting away from the numbers for a second and dive into like where are we seeing the dollars go out, what kind of services, and the plan design that we've put together looks great financially, but is it fitting the right need for the employees? And because we haven't changed it in 11, 12 years, right? Ever since we moved to the HSA. So is it still working, or is it, is there a way to, we're still funded now. We're not beholden to premiums as much as we're beholden to claims. So could we improve the benefit, the base benefit itself? So those are things we'll work on as we dive in the spring.
Thank you for your report. Thank you for your time.
Guys.
Thank you.
Back south.
Now time for open discussion. Mr. Rader.
Just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
We'll take it. Chief? Dean?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Dane.
Yeah, okay.
Gotta get him a new nameplate. You better have one. Troy?
Nothing.
Jeff?
Just thank everybody. We've been the best, and keep this thing rolling.
Thanks, Chef.
We can do her.
We'll do her.
Thanks for your 24 years.
Yep.
I'm mad at the 26.
Mr. Aldrich?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Nothing.
Nothing. Grandpa?
Another new grandpa.
About a month ago, wasn't it?
Yep, a month ago.
Repeat, huh?
Yep. This is
Yeah.
number 6. No, everything's good.
Awesome, that's what I like to hear. Mary?
Nothing.
Larry?
Nope, good.
Moving on. Rod?
I'm practicing for Thanksgiving dinner, I'll pass. How you follow that out?
Can you top that one, Ken?
I have nothing.
Speaking of Brian, the chamber, the Santa's house.
They got that handled. I talked to Allison, and they're getting a generator or something. They looked at using Double D again, and that got shot down. I told her I wished I could do more, but they thought about moving it to the courthouse. Then that got shot down because the board wanted to talk about it first. So now it sounds like they're going back where it was and maybe use the generators.
The city did everything we could.
Well, I wish I could hook it up to the streetlight circuit or something, but it wouldn't, with a heater and all that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't gonna work.
It's a Honda generator.
I get the rest of it. Let's see. Try to be out of here by 8. Oh, wrong sheet here. Next council meeting on the 4th, we induct our, everyone who got elected. We swear them in and caucus among yourselves on what committees you'd like to be on. So I'd like to see them switched up if we can, preferably.
You're gonna go up?
And think about maybe next council meeting, we'll decide when we want to do our January 1st, the first council meeting in January. Probably don't want to do it on New Year's Day, so we'll probably want to move it.
Not doing anything.
We'll talk about that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Other than that, this meeting is adjourned.